dois, teste. Som, um, dois.
Isso aqui, mano. É muita coordenação. Hã? Beleza? Can you hear? Cool. Cadê o Gui? Como é que é? Como é que é o nome da mulherzinha? Deixa eu pegar aqui, peraí. Shenali, né? Shenali, eita. Shenali. Cool. Welcome, everyone. Good evening. Hope you're having a good day and gonna be prepared to have some amazing presentations from some of our own IT.BR people. First of all, thanks EasyGo for the space, for the food, for sponsoring our community for a while now. Thank you so much. I'm not sure if Shanali and Erin are still around, but thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Thanks, Guy, as well. Hands up for that, please. Just a bit of housekeeping before we start. There are drinks back there. Pizzas, I think we still have some left. We're going to have 2 presentations today. A quick break, it's not going to be very long, and then we'll leave all the time for the end, for the networking. Guy also organized a pub for us to go after. Everyone is welcome to go. I'm not really sure where it is, but Guy can point us afterwards. Please don't touch those boxes on the side. They're very important for an event they're organizing. They are not part of us, so please leave them alone. Thank you. EasyGo is also hiring, so reach out to those guys or Guy. What are you, Guy? He just walked on there, but they have heaps of roles all the time. Reach out to Guy if you need anything. Second, thanks for all the volunteers that keep making this event happening. I was just talking to some of you before about that most of the time we take this for granted. You guys look at his and see all the organization, how everything is going fine, and the food and the sponsors and everything. But this is actually pretty hard to maintain. So if you have the time available and you are keen to help, reach out to us. It is very often that some of us can't continue helping, and we need you to keep doing this, as we've been doing for, I don't know, 10 years already in Australia. IT.BR, if you don't know our group, if it's your first time that you are here, you just heard about it. It's a very special evening for myself. All the IT.BR events are special, but this one is actually very special because it's been a long time that I don't come to this event. Thanks for the invite to come along. As I said before, I am one of those persons that used to help quite a bit, and life happens and you stop. So thanks for inviting me. And I'll be sharing the stage with 2 other founders of the Melbourne IT.BR. And I'm very excited for what they have to share with us today. And in saying that, I'm just going to check again because they did change the order. The first one will be Simone. She's a data leader, public speaker, mentor, helps a lot the IT.BR community, and I'm sure you're gonna have a good time. Tem que pôr esse aqui também.
Os dois não.
Põe na blusa. Quer que eu te ajude? Isso vai pra lá.
Thank you, Caio. Thank you. And yes, it's really good to see. I've been here in Australia for 18 years, almost 19, so I saw that being created and being seen. It's very good to see new faces here. And yes, exactly what Caio said. We need you. And let's see how we go. And please reach out to me. I know several of you, we have already talked about career, etc. But feel free to reach out here or LinkedIn, and of course in the WhatsApp groups as well. So I'm here to talk about mastering your job interview in the age of AI. Can I have a show of hands who is looking for a job at the moment or are planning to next week, next month? Okay, and last question, who has not used AI yesterday or today? One, okay? So, as expected, we know that it's impossible to pretend that AI doesn't exist. And what I'll be sharing with you guys today is both from my experience as candidate, but also as hiring manager. Thank you. That's fine. So, yeah, I've been in this space for more than 20 years, both in Brazil and here. And as a speaker, podcaster, reviewer of the data management body of knowledge, and also member of dataleaders.org. That is, to help around the world to create stuff, and especially like AI readiness, etc. And since 2010, I've been mentoring people, so hundreds of people that have been, either starting in IT or moving into IT from finance, public health, etc. But also why we want to change careers. And there's no one single answer. And yes, it's not written in stone. So, jump into that. I put here, because I like to say, and you're going to see me saying some analogies, interview is just one step in the whole process, right? So, before, and it's not the first step, but what I put down in green, network and grow. So it doesn't matter where you are, which stage you are in your career. Networking, like what you're doing here today, is a must, and grow, or if you like, continuous learning is also a must. Because, okay, you could be the best professional in the world in what you do. What's the point if nobody knows about it, right? So, and I always talk to people and say, look, not every role is advertised. We know about 30% at least is not advertised, and that to go through what? Network. But let's leave the network for another time. Here today we have to talk about mostly the interview. And one important thing when you're talking about interview, of course, I put at the bottom, tech skills is important, yes, but soft skills are also important. Most of people ended up forgetting that. So how you two are to communicate to people is one big factor. Before we go into what has changed, I'd like to talk about what has not changed, right? So, and I always tell this to people, say, please, for God's sake, use AI, yes, but do not replace your brain, right? Because sometimes you hear people, oh yeah, AI said something amazing or did something that is not that great. Well, the quality of the answer is directly proportional to the quality of the question. So in terms of the preparing for your interview or your whole process, because depending on the process that you are going for that hiring, for that role, you may have assessments, you may have several tests, but in terms of interview, it's hard to tell exactly how the process is going to be, and usually from one company to another, maybe same industry, same size, not necessarily is the same. You don't know exactly the person who you'll be talking to in the interview could be the hiring manager, could be someone else. You don't know how experienced they are or what they'll be asking. So yes, use AI to help you prepare, to help you search for the company. And I'll be talking a little bit more in that sense. But in that sense, especially now, most of the processes are not face-to-face. They are online. So, and there'll be some stories that as a hiring manager I have seen. So another thing, please don't do it. Use AI to prepare for it, but not during the interview. So people can tell if you are reading, right? And that is a very, very negative thing. If you, the hiring manager or the interviewer, realize that you are reading live, your reputation, the trust goes down, right? Because you can tell, choose any topic that you know really well. It doesn't have to be technology. But if you're talking to someone else that you have never talked before, and you'll be able to ask the second or the third question on that topic, you can tell if the person is making that up or not. The same for the interview. So one of important thing, whatever prompt you'll be using to help you, is think of what the other side, what the interviewers are expecting for or assessing. Can you do the job? How do you think? How do you learn? And of course, do we want to work with you? A really important thing is AI cannot replace. It's what's that energy going in the room, right? So for me, from my personal experience, both as a candidate as also as a hiring manager, the good interviews, they didn't look like interviews. They just look like a conversation with a colleague, right? Because things are just going naturally, flowing. And that, of course, helps because the candidate has prepared, but also the hiring manager has been prepared. So in that sense, you as a candidate, of course, maybe sometimes you'll be desperate to get the job, yes. But in some sense, you are also assessing, do I want to work with them? Is this team? So that's a really, really important thing. And I'll be talking a little bit further on that for you as a candidate to be prepared with questions, right? Because most of the time, we tend to prepare for the technical skills or, to answer. And I don't know if you guys have been using some method like STAR method, situation, task, action, and result. There's some others, but this is the most used one. But not only that. What I'm going to do here, how can I be, how can I stand out of this process? After all, you don't know how many other candidates interviewed. And yes, as a hiring manager, I made some decisions based on the questions that the candidate has asked, because that showed they are thinking outside the box, right? They know. And I'm going to talk what I call a ninja question, but I'll leave this to the end. As I said before, yes, use AI to prepare, to search for the organization, their mission, their values. And I'll be sharing some prompts. But again, this is not written in stone. Definitely you can see and find, especially in LinkedIn, there's so many posts talking about, I'll use these, use that. But just use your good sense and say, hold on, does it make sense? How can I stand out? And make sure that I'm not like a robot, that I'm reading or using the same words. Because one thing that when you talk to recruiters usually, they're going to say, because of AI, things are more leveled. It's a little bit more difficult to know the difference between one candidate and another, because before was easier. You see the candidate actually putting the work, putting hours to work, so you could see the difference. Now it's kind of the hiring manager or the interviewer needs to go a little bit further, if they want, to say, hold on, how do I make a difference here? And again, we never know who is on the other side interviewing us, right? But yes, as I said, do not use AI during the interview. And I know that some companies, they are very clear that they are using several AI tools for even screening. I have not had any experience on that. I don't know if anyone had actually to go through the AI screening or recording your voice, your video. But I know some that had talked to me, had reached out. They were kind of freaking out. So how I'm gonna go with that? I have no idea how. So I'm sorry, but in this aspect, I can't help you. Maybe just go to YouTube and see what is out there. And and also some companies, you're gonna see they are very, very explicit. Do not use AI in such and such. So my recommendation is yes, follow that, because if you don't, at some point they will find out. And especially here in Australia, reputation is 200% important. Once you lose it, people talk. And remember, the recruiters, the hiring managers, they also move jobs, right? So, and I also have been, as a candidate, more than once, being referred to a new job sometimes I was not even looking for, because someone who has hired me before, or I had worked before, or even I have not passed in the interview because they had someone that they have worked with, right? But even that, I connect to the person, to the future manager, and they refer me to another role. So again, going back to the human, which I also like to talk to people to say, look, this is what AI will never replace us. I don't know, in 10 years' time with robots, I don't know. But until then, it's exactly this energy, this human side that you can talk, you can perceive things even online, face to face even more. But let's jump into that. So I like to say interviews are won in the preparation. So yes, before probably you'd have to spend more hours searching for the company, website, etc. So choose your tool and find that. One important thing to mention is keep a record of how you were doing, because usually you're not applying only for one role. And even if you'll be applying 2 years later, have a spreadsheet or something that you can have some, okay, I did that, what I asked, what was the prompts, what were the prompts that I have used, or what did I do right? Or when you talk to people where you exchange notes, what was right, what was not, especially with the speed of things going very quickly. Of course, the role, the PD, so you can have a track of, okay, how did, what, or not. And as I said before, prepare your questions. And what I like to call the ninja question is, if I were to start tomorrow, what would be top 2 challenges or priorities? Why I say it's a ninja question? Because it makes your interviewer thinking and seeing you on the role. I know some people, you may not feel comfortable asking that. Oh, no, I'm going to ask. I'm saying this, remember, I have mentored hundreds of people. So some will say, oh, no, but I don't feel comfortable. Well, that's why you need to train, right? Especially now you have the AI to help going and running the mock interview. So use the tool in your favor, right? Because I can guarantee the other candidates will be, right? So in this case, people say, oh, no, but I'm just, asking, oh, the person who starts on this, if I were to start tomorrow, not next week, not next month, literally these words, if I were to start tomorrow, what would be my top 2 priorities? And of course, you can say after the onboarding, because most of the interviewers are not expecting this question, right? And, oh yeah, you have to do the onboarding and this. I say, no, after. So I'm just giving you the question already in there. If I were to start tomorrow, after the onboarding, what would be my top 2 priorities? And then you choose if you're going to be priorities or challenges, right? And in that sense, they're going to start, oh yeah, that's a good question. And you can see they are thinking of you you in that position, in that role. So it's basically one of the steps to make you memorable. They're gonna, remember and talk about you between them, because they do. Look, this candidate, and they can, because that would be a little bit different than the others. For example, like I said, it doesn't have to be this, but this would be acting as a hiring manager for the particular role at that particular company. Interview me with the 5 hardest questions for this role. After each answer, tell me what a skeptical panel would push back on and how to strengthen it. And do that, and after, close it, and it has to be with your own words. Because someone that knows the topic would be able to tell if you have memorized, or if you are bringing that from your heart, from experience. So how we want the interviewer to remember of you, right? Now, in terms of changes, you can see and find, you may find different answers, but what I can tell from experience and talking to recruiters, etc., 3 shifts that changed the interview game, I would say, in the last 12 months, right? Because probably before that, definitely 2 years ago, this was not the game, right? AI reads you before a human does. You don't know. They may have, Copilot, whatever, also as a note taker in there. How they're going to use that? Is the human, the interviewer, taking notes? How experienced they are in there? So basically, we don't know. To be well prepared, to make sure that it's clear. That's the second point there. The AI is in the interview room. We never know how to have their AI. Of course, the resume screening and ranking, AI, video, voice, as I mentioned before, conversational screeners, and the actual assessment and the interview. So we don't know if the hiring manager will be, if they are lazy, or if they have too many things to do, but has their AI been well trained? I personally, in one of the roles that I was hiring, I literally had 298 applications. And yes, I looked to every single one of them. Even if I only spent 30 seconds with the old Control F, because I have tested the AI they had there was rubbish, right? Would be putting people with almost 100%, and they didn't have it. So no, instead of me just trying to do that, I'm just gonna go and do manually. But I know some others don't, right? They actually just follow whatever the AI is actually doing. The other important thing is the interview has not finished when you leave the room. Most candidates don't do this, and it's within 24, here says 24, but feel free to also 24 or 48 hours to send a thank you note, because again, you want to be remembered after the interview. So make a note of something, like appreciate your time, etc., and make a note of their comments, so that will tell them that you paid attention. Even if you were nervous, yes, but make a note of something they mentioned about the team, about the company, I don't know. And of course, use the AI with all this information to say, oh, give me some ideas of what I can, get in the, put it in the email, or keep short, warm, or depending on what you are doing, right? And reflect on what I mentioned before. Make a log of what you're doing, because then you can learn. Yes, it's learning more quickly than before, but if you don't do this, again, the other candidates probably will. Someone will. So how we want to be remembered by. And even if you don't get that role, again, the world is small. Here in Melbourne, in IT is even smaller, right? People talk to each other. They change jobs, and you never know when you'll be facing or bump into that person. So keep a good thing. And if it's a no, ask for feedback. Whatever that is, you may not agree with that feedback. Just listen to that, make notes. You can, probably the question I would ask is, even if I don't agree with that, what can I learn from this? So next time I can do better. Yes, with the AI, with your assistant and advisor. And of course, networking. Keep the door open, and I won't be repeating myself. Networking. Like I said, this is another topic in itself, but yeah, keep doing that. that never dies, right? And that's something that AI cannot replace you, can help you, but not replace you. 5 things to take home. Of course, the interview is just a step, it's not the destination. How you can plan, okay, what I want to do in my career. And like for the people the hundreds of people that I have mentored, some of them were changing careers, some others were not. Some people change careers without actually planning, but it's much better if you plan. Find someone who does what you like or what you want to do, and maybe not necessarily to have them as a mentor, but to see some ideas what you can do, especially with this AI changing the scenario so quickly. It's better to be making the decisions and not be led by others' decisions. Yes, use the AI to prepare, but do not pretend, because humans can see if you are lying or not. And like I said, in the second, third question, and I have already done this, shorten the interview by half of the time, because no, that would be a waste of time. You ask the second, the third question, the same topic, the person doesn't know how the details or how they said they did know how to do it, but when you go into the details, they don't. So what they want, how it well, based on my experience, I would say yes, because and but it has to come into the point how the interviewers, hiring manager or not, are preparing themselves, right? Because like I said before, this is a two-way thing. It's not just the candidate. So it's very common for the interviewers say, okay, just go and literally, I have seen this endless times. Oh yeah, oh, I have to interview this person. I don't know anything. Say, hold on, you haven't prepared. So, and that's when I was mentoring people in my team to be also interviewing others. I said, look, I have a list of questions already prepared. I'm not going to give to you. You go and you see, you know the role, they are going to be your peer. So you go and prepare and you tell me as if I would not know how to interview, right? And in the sense that like, AI is much easier to see this, right? The quality of the answer is directly proportional to the quality of the question. So in that sense, just to summarize, because I could be talking for hours on this, would be if the interviewers have prepared themselves in that sense, checking the LinkedIn, seeing if you have someone in common, and going asking that person in common about the candidate. I do that, right? And to help me, and also other things. Like I said, I have shortened interviews because they cannot be a waste of time, but also have shortened because yeah, this is the person, because everyone was working in syntony, right? Aligned. So I don't know if I have answered your question.
Hi, hello Simone, hello everyone. Thank you for the presentation. I have two questions, like improving my CV to get through the ATS, and finally getting some phone interviews, phone screens. And on my mind, I'm doing great, but I'm not getting advancing for the next phase. It's alright, like if I reach the recruiter in the LinkedIn and ask for feedback, even if I lost the time, like the life happens and I get busy, it's 1 month later. It's alright if I reach him, or it's alright too far away. And the other things like I, some positions, like I feel I get um, not getting into interview due the visa, due the not ability to work in full time. Do you think have the networking help on the start? Thank you.
Okay, let's go per parts. The first one, in terms of you reaching out, sooner the better. Because remember, they are interviewing hundreds of people, right? And to be honest, I won't remember, right? People's name. Sorry, for some of you guys here, we have met before. So, what's your name? So it's kind of, right? Imagine going through a few days, a few weeks, interviewing so many people, right? And again, you don't know how good the hiring team is in terms of making notes. And so the sooner the better that you reach out. However, if that didn't happen, I would try, but not more than a month later, because it might give them the wrong impression about you. Oh, this candidate is lazy. Because you are the most interest, from their perspective, you are the most interested person in that. How come you delay that long, right? So just make that mandatory for you. Put in your calendar, right? That's what I mentioned, ideally between 24 and 48 hours. But even if, okay, it's the next week, okay, still valid. But more than a week may give them the wrong impression about you. And the second question in terms of yes, if you do have a visa that limits you to work, I'm not the best person to talk about this, but based on the companies, that most of the time they already have in their PD, must have is one of the usually.
Simone, share all her contacts here and I'm sure she will be fine. And do get in touch with her. She does like to do that.
And if you want, yeah, just message me and then I'll share this with everyone.
Thank you so much, Simone. Very quick, 5 to 10 minutes max. So please go and help yourself with the drink pizzas and come back to your place so we can get started. There is an iPad running around. I think it's right now with E. There is a game on the iPad. If you haven't played yet, do that because there are some prizes at the end. Testando? Não estava online?
Não, tava mute.
Ah, bom. Hello? Please have a drink, take a seat. Before we start, is anyone missing a glass? No? No? Where is Guy? I'll leave with you this. We're gonna have some prizes at the end for who have played the game that Guy have on the iPad. Does anyone haven't played that game yet? Just checking. Guy will pass the iPad. It's a pretty quick game. Let's just try to not make a lot of noise. Like play the game and just pass to the person on your side, and we'll just do a loop around. Cool. Okay. Where are my notes? Hold on. There's a lot of words to say about the next presenter. There you go. But I'm not going to say anything about that. Our next presenter, David Lukey, he's the head of information security at Flybys. We can get that in better than that. So welcome, David, back to the stage. Aqui. Eu?
All right. Hello, everyone. Before I start, two big disclaimers. First one, this presentation came about from two different topics. The first one was, how do we create a cybersecurity team in the age of AI? This was a peer of mine that made this challenge, and I forgot about the topic of the meeting, and I didn't pay attention on the meeting. And I was brewing in my head like what the future of cybersecurity will look like. And the second one, I've been mentoring people for a while in the industry, and I've seen a lot of people wanting to get into cybersecurity but coming extremely unprepared. So it all comes with the same, just to break some myths, and then we can go into what cybersecurity is for the start. And this is focused in pretty much where you are now. And before I start, can I see like a show of hands? Who here wanted to or had the idea or consider in the past to work in cybersecurity? Few people, nice. I'll break a lot of dreams tonight. Awesome. Sorry. Cool, let's jump into it. So a little bit about me, who am I and what I've been doing at. Before I start with all the fancy information, I would like to say to the previous presentation and to the previous question, all this fancy, impressive stuff started here. Around 8 to 9 years ago, almost 10 years ago, I was exactly where you are today. Just a student with a dream in Australia, no visa whatsoever. And I came to this meetup. Well, not exactly this one, it was the same one in Sydney. And I met some lovely people that offered me a job. It was a part-time job because I didn't have the bloody visa as well. And I worked there for 6 months. I impressed them. They gave me the sponsorship. They gave me the PR. And now I'm very grateful to say I'm a citizen in Australia because someone gave me a chance. So if you are sitting there, don't give up. Continue your journey. Eventually, things can go right, and you can be the next one presenting your experience and your story to the next crew of people coming. So I've been working in cybersecurity for somewhere around 15 years already, a little bit half in here, half in Brazil. doing all sorts of weird and shady things you can imagine in cybersecurity. I'm also, as Kai already mentioned, head of security at Flybys. So if you ever went to Kohl's or Bunnings or Kmart, and when you buy something, the machine says, if you have a Flybys card, you can scan at any moment. That's who I am. That's what I do. I protect your monopoly money when you're buying stuff with Flybys. I also always love to share knowledge and write in my blog. So if you want to have a look, been speaking in a lot of different conferences, and this meetup, I've been presenting a few times as well. And just trying to make security interesting and make security fun. Because not sure if you know, but we have a running joke internally that security is the lawyers of IT. It's like that group of people that they speak the same language as you, but you do not understand a single word they say. It sounds super complex, feels like sometimes they are talking a different language. They do something very complex. So my job here is try to make it interesting, engaging, and at least you leave this session and you go back and change your passwords. That's the bare minimum. So let's see how we do. So let's start with, as I said, let's start with all the myths that you probably already heard about cybersecurity. Cybersecurity pays really well. It's one of the most highest paid industries or roles in Australia. Compared to, I think the top 5 is like the Prime Minister, neurosurgeons, aircraft pilots, cybersecurity, and something else. I don't remember what the 5th one. And you think like, well, cybersecurity pays a lot. Let's join cybersecurity then. It's IT, like any other IT role. Must be easy, right? We're going to get to that. So this is one of the main things. Everyone says like, oh, security usually earns a lot of money. That can be true. But with, what was the word with in English? Yes, the Spider-Man one. With great powers comes great responsibility. That applies to cybersecurity, and you're gonna see in a minute. Next one, cybersecurity needs you. There's 30,000. There's currently, if I'm not mistaken, 30,000 open roles in cybersecurity in Australia, and somewhere around 200,000 worldwide. So there's a lot of roles. So we are pretty much giving money away to people. If you look at those news articles. Endless of open roles. It's easy to get into security. There's a lot of cash grab courses teaching you how to be a hacker and all those things. But there's a side that people usually don't know about cybersecurity. It's crazy stressful. That's why it pays a lot, because no one wants to do this kind of work. And you see why in a minute. Also, another problem, there is a lot of roles. This is true, but they are not junior entry-level roles, unfortunately. And security by itself, it's also not an entry-level profession or speciality in cybersecurity, inside of technology and IT. You need to know a little bit to get into cybersecurity, and you see why in a minute. And also, it requires a lot of dedication, a lot of resiliency, because you are playing the high stakes. It's still in technology, but it's a very different role. So just a fun fact on this one. Back in COVID days, when everyone was locked down, and the most stressful profession on the planet Earth was ER doctors and nurses, because like if you are during COVID times, it was quite painful to be in hospitals. Fun fact, when they run researches and like how much stress they were going through, the doctors were going through to that time, who do you think they compare to? They compare to cybersecurity. So we are the baseline of how stress looks like. So it requires someone different to work in cybersecurity, and let's have a look why. So cybersecurity, yes, in the good old days, it started like just patching antivirus and installing software in computers. And on the good old days, you just like working computers do stuff. But now those computers, they are connected into a lot of stuff. So you're not necessarily just protecting a piece of software, just protecting a computer, a server somewhere. You are also protecting 3 big things: people, money, and trust. So using an example, and I'm gonna get to those examples a little bit later. You have people in specific situations that might depend on a piece of software or on a piece of technology or on a piece of hardware. If that goes wrong, serious consequences could happen. For example, everything is smart nowadays. Like every single piece of technology has a smarts on it. It connects to Bluetooth to somewhere. It connects to Wi-Fi to somewhere. There are some peacemakers in people's hearts that, for whatever reason, they connect to their Apple Health through their phone or through their Apple Watch. What happens if this gets hacked? Like if you hacked my computer, yeah, my computer plays funny, shuts down, whatever. What if you hack someone's pacemaker and that goes down when they need it? Someone could die. So you are protecting something big. Also, cybersecurity moves a lot of money. To give you an idea, if you sum it up, all these weird scams that happen in the internet, like those old school Nigerian prince scams, like it's like, who is stupid are gonna fall for those things? They make $1 trillion a day worldwide. It is a lot of money. A lot of people fall for those scams still. So there's a lot of money involved. So you are playing against big people, like the organized crime. It says organized because they are extremely well organized. They work exactly like normal companies. They have the HR departments. They have finance departments. It's not just like a guy in a hoodie in their mom's basement anymore. This changed a lot. This has real money now. So there's a lot of people using that. And trust. Imagine, not going to use flybys, thank goodness, touch wood, nothing happens. Let's use an example that was very famous and happened a lot in Australia. Optus and Medibank. Those are probably the biggest ones in Australia. After the breach, for the 6 months from the Medibank breach, they went to all-time low in their stocks for 6 months. Imagine how this can wreck a company. They are one of the biggest companies in Australia, so they can survive that. But there are cases of companies that got hacked and the company disappeared overnight because the cost to bring everything back up, because they didn't have backups or something like that, it was too high that it was cheaper to just cut losses, destroy the company, and move on than bring everything back up. So this happened a few times in history. So that's why security is becoming crazy important. Security is also a team sport. There is currently, last time I checked, somewhere around 42 to 50 different specializations inside security. So imagine using the same analogy as before, security as medicine. Each specific individual role in security is one specialty. One could be a GP, the other one could be a neurosurgeon, the other one could be a dentist, someone could be a physio. So cybersecurity, same thing. There's way too many things out there in the internet that need people focus in different areas and helping in different ways. We usually call blue teams the ones that are defending. They are the ones that are pretty much kind of like firefighters. They're just sitting there doing nothing until something goes bad, and then this is where they react. We have red teams, which is the teams that are poking stuff until it breaks, just to see what happens. You have the DevOps, the DevSecOps, the builders that helps engineers to build code and ship code securely, and a whole heap of different roles. So there is a role for everyone in security. You just need to find your passion, what you like, because if you do not have passion, and I'm going to get you this in a minute, if you do not have passion, you simply do not survive in this industry. Next one, how a day-to-day, this finishing all the pessimistic negative things here, let's start to show what a security job looks like in real life. So this is pretty much the workflow of any security professional in pretty much any of those fields that I mentioned before. The thing is, none of those things are linear. And as soon as you hit one of those and you got something, you go back and you start this all over again. And that's pretty much everything you do. You just like keep trying it. Security, just a fun fact, security came from the military. So the first one that's figured out that you could use computers to do bad things with other people or blow up people was the military. So that's why if you open any security book or any security course, you're gonna see that it looks a lot more like geopolitics and economics classes rather than IT, because we work at that level, because we have governments attacking each other, so it kind of scales to that level and everything starts from there. So your job is pretty much, you spend 24/7 thinking, what could go wrong? I need to figure out everything that can go wrong, because that's the first step. I need to anticipate. And this is what we usually, the buzzwords, Think like a hacker. Think outside of the box. It's exactly that. What can I do to protect my system? What can go wrong with my system? And that's why cybersecurity is very hard to be your first role and to start in technology and cybersecurity, because you require the baggage of like, I need to know at least how things can go wrong or how can I break things. So me, for example, in my career, I always been horrible in programming. So you might think like, oh, to be a good hacker, you need to be pretty good at programming. Not necessarily. I'm pretty good at breaking other people's code, not to build myself. So someone else is responsible to fix it when I break it. My job is to be pretty good at breaking. So this is anticipate. You try to figure out everything that could go wrong. As I said before, if you've never done this test, when I started in this industry, they taught me that in uni long time ago. Once you connect a computer in the internet, it takes 48 hours to get attacked. And this was crazy 10 years ago when I joined uni. If you do that now, it will be less than 2 minutes. Less than 1 minute even. It will be a few seconds before you start seeing traffic. If you don't trust me, try yourself. But just be careful and don't do that in your corporate network. Do it at home. Just spin up an instance anywhere, AWS, Azure, whatever, and then go to the logs and see how long it takes for someone to ping that thing. There are scans, especially with the AI now, there are things scanning the entire internet looking for breaches or for misconfigurations or weaknesses or vulnerabilities. So security has to be right every single day. Criminals and hackers, they only need to be right once. They need to get in once and they can destroy the whole thing. So once you figure out what can go wrong, next step, how can I make this into code, into my application so it doesn't happen? And even that security work in different layers. So even I figure out a way to make this into my code, I also need to something to detect, because criminals and hackers, they always work in the edge case. So you have a rule that covers 99.8% of cases. They will work on those 0.2%. And this is pretty much that cat and mouse chase. You are always trying to figure out the next thing, the next thing. Eventually, things go wrong. Things break. Someone get in. Someone destroy stuff. And then this is where you respond. You use everything you learned so far to try to stop what's going on. And this becomes very kind of like you see in the movies, like everyone rushing in, try to close things down, because it takes somewhere, if I remember correctly, somewhere between 4 hours, no, it's 20 minutes to 4 hours for someone to get in and start destroying things. So it's this number is moving faster, close to hours. So you're pretty much racing against the clock. That's why it's so stressful. Imagine, for example, a company like Flybys. We have somewhere around like 10 million active members. So my job is to protect 10 million Australians. So if anything goes wrong, I have that in my back, that I have 10 million people that depends on me, and they have their jobs and their data that gets exposed, and then they can get scammed and things like that. So going back to the example on Medibank and Optus, pretty much every single Australian have been hit with at least one of those. So what happened with that? Once your data, especially in the Medibank one, because it was health data. So if someone hacks and steals your driver's license, you go get it, you go there and grab a new one. If someone hacks and steals your passport, you can go there and request a new one. If someone hacks a company that has your health data, and then that health data has a specific disease or specific condition that you have, and someone can try to extort you because of that. Or let's say a politician is running for prime minister or president in our country, and someone discovered through one of those data leaks that this person has something to be ashamed of, and they're going to use this against them. So imagine this data that get leaked, it gets more valuable over time. Criminals know that, and this is where they're chasing. Sometimes, as I mentioned, it goes wrong, and it goes even more wrong when you got hit. There's nothing you can do. You have to recover, close everything, shut down everything. You manage to contain it, at least it doesn't make any more damage, but now you have to pretty much rebuild. And at every stage, when you stop at every one of those things, there's always the learn. You are always learning. So cybersecurity, well, pretty much anywhere in technology, but cybersecurity, it's pretty much every day someone figure out a new technique. There's something new that they can use to exploit or attack someone. So you need to be always learning constantly. The day that you stop learning, AI will replace you pretty much in cybersecurity. Or someone clever using AI can replace you. So this is pretty much, this is not a joke. The amount, I lost count how many days like this I had. I lost count how many nights I slept through my, in the office, like how many nights I had to be in the office. And this scenario is probably one of the most common because, like I said, criminals are smart. They know you work 9 to 5. They're not going to attack you 9 to 5 when they know that you are there ready to respond. They're going to attack you in the middle of the night, just before the weekend, in a public holiday, when they know that you are least expecting. So this is how a normal day in cybersecurity starts. You're just there, enjoying your day, not a lot going on, and then eventually 4:55, everything's packed up, everything's ready to go. You receive an alert, and then your pretty much entire weekend can be ruined. Maybe the next 2 weekends, the next 2 weeks can be ruined because you have to stay to figure out what went wrong and like order pizzas and stay the next 2 weeks in the office. So someone that you are not supposed to be traveling to a different country logged in and has a successful login from a country. It's unfortunately it's someone that works in the finance, and that person figure out how to transfer money or authorize money transfers. And so like, oh, this sounds very complex. This happens pretty much on daily basis. And if you look at the news, look for the keyword BEC, business email compromise. You'll see that this happens quite a lot. Once this happens, it's pretty much everyone free for all, everyone goes crazy. Our job is to pretty much, step number 1, calm everyone down. Step number 2, let's figure out what went wrong. So this is why security is extremely stressful, because we are the ones that have to stay calm when the whole thing is on fire. So if you do not have that kind of like self-regulation, you'll be one of the ones that will freak out and you're not doing any help in the team. So that's why cybersecurity is, yes, it can pay a lot, but at the same time, you are playing with very high stakes. So as I mentioned before, the pressure, the stress is extremely real. A few examples that I can bring, I already mentioned those big breaches in Australia. Shares go down. If shares go down, your budget probably reduce. If your budget reduce, there's less that you can do. Maybe some people need to be let go. So a lot can, like, there's a lot of ripples through what could have happened I don't really care about a nice CV. I don't really care what you. I don't really mind if you are a genius or not. There is a term in the industry called brilliant jerks, which are people that are extremely brilliant in what they do, but they are horrible as a person. So they are called brilliant jerks. Security, unfortunately, attract a lot of those people. So you need to have the soft skills. They are probably equally as important as the technical skills in cybersecurity. You need to be curious. You need to be resilient. You need to be honest because you're going to make a lot of mistakes. This is how you learn. You need to make a lot of mistakes. And you need to own them. Because if you do a mistake and you don't say anything because you're afraid or you're ashamed, this could become a vulnerability. They're going to get exploited, and this is how your company gets hacked. So you need to be very open and honest, and you need to be a forever learner because those things matter. And like I said, you need to know the bare minimum to survive in the industry. If I ask you a technical question, and this is a pretty cool one that I always treat people, including seniors. So this is a good idea of how I usually run my interviews. If I were to ask the difference between hashing, encryption, and encoding, would you be able to explain me the difference between those three things? Because this sounds very textbook and very basic and very boring for most technology and software development, but this is very crucial in security because some of those things that I just said can be broken, and you can use that to, for example, break a password and crack a password and get into a system. Some you cannot. So if you know the difference, you are one step ahead of the other ones. You need to be hands-on. This is another very important thing. There are roles in cybersecurity that they were known to be non-technical. With AI now, they are pretty much gone. And if they're not gone yet, they will be replaced with someone with AI. GRC, for example, risk governance and compliance. That's a very paper-based role that didn't require a lot of technology, didn't require a lot of deep knowledge. If you are looking to get into that space, you need to start doing the extra mile and getting to the tools, AI tools to help you out. Because if you only do like paper-based, AI can do paper-based, AI can replace you overnight. So you need to do the extra mile of building tools to do the job and help you to do your job best. And the best way to learn in cybersecurity is doing, as I said before, you learn by making mistakes, and this is what makes you good in cybersecurity. As I said, the point of this presentation is something bigger. It's part of how cybersecurity will look like now that AI is taking over and changing everything. So cyber criminals and hackers, they are as excited as we are with AI. But the thing is, they don't need to follow regulations. They don't need to follow rules. They don't need to follow laws even. We have. So they already have an advantage. So this is where we are always fighting. As I mentioned before, talent is burning out all the time. The ground keeps shifting. Every day there's something new. We have to figure out how to secure MCP service. We didn't know what MCP servers were 6 months ago. Tomorrow we have to secure something else that we don't even know that existed. And most important thing, the entry door is not just narrowing, but it's very crowded. So there's thousands and thousands of people trying to get into security, most of them because they saw higher pay and they will try to get the jackpot, but they don't know how hard it is. And all the mundane basic jobs, AI is doing some of those. So it's getting even harder for those entry levels to get into cybersecurity. So this is a problem that we are still trying to figure out and try to unpick in the industry. Another very hard truth, and Simone mentioned a lot about this before, but I'll be very brief on this one. When I open a role, especially for an entry-level role, in the first 24 hours, I'll receive 400 applicants. For those 400 applicants, I'm 100% sure 385 of them will be exactly the same resume. Not because they use AI or anything, just because they've done the exact same steps. They follow the exact same gurus. Go and do this course, go and do this certification, go and do this project. So when they came out of those cookie cutter courses, they have the exact same resume. They've done the exact same projects. So if I have 185 people that looks exactly the same, they don't have any value. So to get a job in cybersecurity, you have to stand out one way or another. So just make sure you slap together a decent resume, and then difference. Simone also mentioned even more important in security because there's even less there. So if you go to an interview and you are not known, no one knows who you are, and your resume is generic like all the other ones, you're pretty much excluded before you even get to see a human in an interview. So you need to stand out one way or another. You need to show up. The job will not come to you. You have to go and find it. You have to actively search. Security, as I said before, is extremely hard. And people, you are competing with a lot of people from a lot of different areas. You don't need to be, you work your entire life in technology to jump into security. You can jump into security from all different areas. Perfect resume will not give you too much support in this area. And like I said, talk is cheap. Anyone can go to an interview and say how good they are, but do you have anything to prove that you're good? Do you have anything publicly exposed in the internet? Have you done any projects? Do you have a GitHub? So here's a few ideas. Anything, just pick one of those. What can you do that your competitors don't have? And I'm talking this about cybersecurity because this is my specialty, but I'm pretty sure some of those things might work in pretty much any technology area. You can write a blog, a podcast, a YouTube, anything. Go to GitHub and publish some projects. Anything helps. Cybersecurity, as I mentioned, it came from the military, but it was also become popular in what we called back in the days in the underground, like those old school obscure forums and IRC chat and all those things. Back in the day, everything in cybersecurity was based on reputation because money was not a thing at the time. So people were known by how much they shared. And once that became a proper profession, these kind of migrate with it. So people know you by what you've done. So to the question that someone made in the previous session, cybersecurity is slightly different. The interviews are, yes, they can be very tough, but they already start from what have you done before, like what kind of project you've done, what kind of talks, like anything. When I started in cybersecurity 15 years ago, I didn't have any knowledge in cybersecurity. I was still in my uni doing my bachelor's degree in cybersecurity. But I was just struggling with a specific subject. It was cryptography. It was crazy hard, and I didn't understand. I'm bad in coding, but I'm also bad in math. So if I can make it, anyone can make it. But I was struggling a lot with my subjects in cryptography. And what I've done and the way that I figured out that it helped me understand hard concepts was writing it down. So I wrote it down and I used that as study notes. And then I shared with a few friends and they liked it. So I said like, maybe if I put that online in a blog format, people might read it and they might learn something. And if I had this question, pretty sure somewhere, someone in the planet will have the same question. And I don't know how, but you might find my blog and answer that same question that I have. So I started publishing. And again, this was 15 years ago when blogs were the most incredible things. And page views was the biggest metric that we had to measure our success. And I'm very proud to say that back in the day, my blog in Portuguese, and mind you, there's like 5 or 6 countries in the planet that speak Portuguese. I collected somewhere between 2 and 3 million page views at a time in a cybersecurity blog in Portuguese. So a lot of my classmates were really like refreshing every day just to pass on the exams, but some other people liked it. So just do something, like be out there, do something different, be memorable. And then when you go to the interview, pretty sure the hiring manager already looked at your resume and said like, oh, this person, for example, if I see a LinkedIn or a YouTube or a GitHub link in a resume, that's the first thing I'll do. I'll check what's there. And if there's anything that catches my attention, you got yourself an interview. If I look at and it's the same resume as everyone else, you are out. I spend 10 seconds in a resume. I have 300 more to go through. So if there's nothing remarkable in there, unfortunately, you might lose your chance. So just do something different. And also, another point that was mentioned, and I'll reiterate, I got my first job in Australia, and I already work in cybersecurity in Brazil, but I got my first job in here without in my student visa at the time, without full working rights in this meetup. So just becomes the same core skills that will become investigation skills that becomes pretty good in a SOC, the Security Operations Center, which is like the investigators, the firefighters, the one that start investigating when things go wrong. So that's a natural transition. They work pretty close together. So for example, service desk, they usually install like antivirus and EDR and all those protections, and they are usually quite in touch with the security team to tune those controls. So that becomes just a natural progression. That's one of the options. You can go to security operations or blue team if that's what you like. A second one will be DevOps or any platform engineering, any sort of kind of work. In one of my slides, you probably saw something called DevSecOps, which is the natural evolution from DevOps, where you include security into that. So you already shipped all the stuff secure in the first go, so security don't need to go back and review it afterwards. It's growing, still quite new, but it's improving. But it's very similar, as I mentioned before, it's a natural progression from DevOps to DevSecOps and from there to security engineering or something else. And if you are more going to like software engineering, for example, you know how to write code quite well. You can become either a pen tester, which is the guy that breaks code, or you can be an application security engineer, which is the guy that advise developers on how to do it securely because he knows both sides. So those are the three main avenues.
More questions?
Yeah, first of all, good now? Yeah. First of all, congratulations on the talk. It was really good. I know nothing about cybersecurity. It's not a technical question. It's more of a curiosity. I was just wondering if there's any episodes where you had your data stolen from the company you worked at, and you had to negotiate with criminals, or you were in a position where some of the stuff that we see in movies and TV shows.
Yes, I've done a little bit of that. I can tell you, I can tell the I know it's being live streamed, so I'm not gonna uh, say too much, but I can tell you some details later on. But yes, this is a very interesting thing. Usually, security professionals they work very close to the line of what legal and ethical is and what isn't. You always have to be on the ethical side, but at least you can step on the other side and see what they're doing. If the ones that do that are usually the best security professionals, so for good or bad, we ended up seeing some weird things out there. I can tell you all about it later on.
Hi, can you hear me? All right. How are you? So hi everyone. Just quick question. So as a recruiter, so I'm going to my second job in cybersecurity. Started to look for it. Started talking to a few people, recruiters in general, sort of polishing up my resume. So it's been about 4 years. It started, like you said, help desk, and then moved on as a security analyst. Um, so now going forward, in the last 4 years, I've done a lot of software-related certifications. So like I'm able to implement Proofpoint, Mimecast, Word, CrowdStrike to basic level, things like that. But I've never gone ahead and done things like a Security Plus certificate or CCNA or that sort of certification. I've only got my Cert 4 in cybersecurity, my work experience, and my contacts, the people that have worked with me and can come forward and give good work. My resume against someone with maybe no work experience, but with a certificate, or let's say 1-2 years work experience, but with the Cyber Security Plus certification. How odds is stacked against each other, if that makes sense?
Um, I'll say most of them.
Like real work experience against, certification, like what?
That's the thing. If you can prove it that you have the experience, that counts.
So like references or maybe a demo, like would you ask the person to do a demo?
Now I'll look at your what I said before. I'll look at your resume and I'll see what you have there. I'll follow you on LinkedIn and I'll see what you have there. If there's nothing remarkable, you're probably not going to even receive a call.
Yeah.
So, like I said, a project in GitHub or meetups that you go and talk to people, articles, podcasts, whatever. But I can tell you story. Some recruiters, they would just look at the certification section to see what you have because they have to match that with the role. But in real life, you can have the certification and don't know anything about it, security. And I know people that barely completed normal like school education and they are incredible guns in cybersecurity. So they barely know, like they haven't finished year 12. And my mentor, for example, he never finished year 12 and he's one of the most incredible hackers I ever met. So everything helps, but you have to have something to publicly prove your tangible, yes.
We run out of time. Thanks, David. Reach out to him if you have any more questions. Thanks, man.
Thank you.
Just a question for everyone. It's the last for everyone. Please, if you can take some time and scan the QR code, it will be just a feedback form for this event so we can keep improving and help us to keep doing this. Again, we do need volunteers, so if you want to present next time or just help here organize the event, please reach out to any of us. That'll be really good. We are going to wrap up pretty soon, in maybe 10 minutes. I think someone already shared the location where we're going to go. It's a close by pub. Hope to see you all there as well. Have some more beers and do more networking. Any more?
Yes.
Oh, the prize. Hold on.
No, that is not now. I did. So I'm gonna give 10 more minutes for you guys to play the game, and then I will announce the winners.
Ask if anyone haven't done yet, because I think everyone.
Now there's 39 players. But,
Okay. So we'll do pretty quick. Yeah, 5 to 10 minutes to play the game, and then we'll do the prize and we wrap up. Thanks, everyone. Have a good one.
Alguém para tirar foto nossa?